Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Paramay. I would like to thank everyone for inviting me to speak on this webinar. I was actually quite surprised when I received Tulsi Didi's email. And when I opened the email, I just sat there frozen, thinking, why am I invited to this webinar to speak on such a topic that I don't have a PhD in philosophy, I don't have experience of being a professor or teaching. And I sat there wondering, what is this? And why did Bhagavan put my name? And as I sat there, it was clear to me why he put me, why this email was sent to me. And that is, I have experience. I have experience of being an Indian and going through a spiritual journey, transforming, and yet I'm still an Indian with those values, but they have a different meaning now. So it came to me like lightning what I am to share, which is simply my life experience. I don't have knowledge from the Vedas. I cannot quote scripture verses, but I have experience of going through a huge change. Yet I feel I'm the same that I was at the age of 4 or 5 years old. Born in London, I was 2.5 years old when my parents moved back to a village in Punjab. And I don't have much memory of London from the 2.5 years, but I was brought up in Punjab till the age of 15, and it was due to the riots in Punjab that we moved back to London in 1989. I remember I was 5-6 years old. My dadi, my grandma, started saying to me that if you don't know cooking, your mother-in-law is not going to keep you at home. She's going to kick you out. The first thing I learned, I remember I was about 6. My mom taught me how to make chai. And I mastered that recipe, and it was for 6 people. And 40 years later, I am still serving that chai, the same recipe, the same way, with the same love. I remember I would get so excited if a guest came because I could serve them chai. So as soon as I saw somebody walking in the door, I would say, I'll give you chai. And I would go make the chai. And from this story, I would like to speak on the purpose, on the topic that I have been given, and I chose an Indian identity to an evolving universality. And I would not have spoken or picked such a topic unless I've gone through something deep inside. In 1999, we moved to London, and that was the first time I had come out of the village. And I remember connecting to myself, connecting to that Indian identity, connecting to the culture, connecting to everything the parents taught, which was to respect the elderly, dress in a dignified way, speak the truth, speak in a loving way, and serve others first. When you're about to eat, give your brother food first, give your grandparents food first, and going to bed at night to make sure that grandparents were comfortable. Did they need something? All these things started to come up when I came to London, and I was 15 years old. That was the first time I realized how I was different, how my other family members that were living in London, how they were different. What was it that they didn't have and I had? And it was coming to London that I felt so blessed that at the age of 2.5, I was sent to Punjab, where I learned Hindi, where I learned Punjabi. And more than that, it gave me a personality. It gave me a backbone of something that I would build my life on. And I didn't know this, like I said, until I came out of that village and all of a sudden I was in a different country. Like in high school, I would see other students, how they spoke to teachers. And tell you the truth, I used to start crying because teachers in India are considered next to God. We look up to them. They teach us so much. We're with them from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sometimes school started at 7. So most of the time, Monday through Saturday, we were with them. And all of a sudden I'm exposed to that people are rude to their teachers. And I had a very hard time accepting that somebody is rude to their teachers. And I also remember my Indian friends telling me, oh, that's just in India that you treat teachers. Here you can say anything back, you can talk back, you can question. And my heart used to say, no. Sure, they have a personality. Sure, they're hard on a subject rather than another professor. But that does not mean that we can be rude. And it could be that also that I was taught not to be rude to elders. But I think it was more being respectful to teachers who take care of us, who give us knowledge. And out of nowhere, I get a green card to come to the US. And out of my whole family, I was the only one who got a green card in a lottery, and I ended up in the US. And this was the first time that my parents and my brother was not with me. And I lived with my aunt. And there again, I am in another country, a bigger country, and all of a sudden I'm exposed to another different culture, which is very different than being in the UK. And in UK there were a lot of Indians. There's Indian food, and here it's very scattered. And I remember one of the first things I asked my aunt, where is the Gurdwara? Because I'd like to go every Sunday. I'd like to listen to the to Shabad Kirtan. And again, I am in a place where I can clearly see the difference between myself and people around me. And I remember in college I started taking paratha for a friend of mine, and out of nowhere she started bringing me food. So we had this thing going on that I bring her food and she brings me food. And then it from her perspective, it was that Indians do this. Indians like to feed, or Sikhs like to feed. But as I was young, I am told I was 4 years old when I started to go to Gurdwara, and I would want to make rotis. I wanted to make langar. I wanted to help. I wanted to take care of, again, more of elderly, like help them get up, or whatever I could do at the age of 4. But it was very much the riches of the heart. It was, everything was connecting me to the richness. It felt good. And I didn't know it was Indian identity, or it was our culture. I couldn't know until I was older and I came to a foreign country. So this cultural continuity, I see it in 2 different ways. That one is, it helps preserve our culture. Like in our village, if I think, it helps preserve the culture as it is, so from generation to generation they can be brought up in that culture. Like when I go now, many things are the same. Yes, much has changed, but many things are the same. And second thing I see, that if culture is confined in that little area and it's continuing, I feel it becomes rigid. And in that rigidity, it has no space to evolve what serves us in this time. It doesn't, it has no opening to evolve, because it's in that space and it's done the same way again and again. And it like Bhagavan says, Gita is revealed as it is needed, as necessary in this time. So I feel culture needs evolution according to time, and that does not mean we lose the very authenticity of our culture, but how to take it to the next level, doing the same thing, but it serves us universally. So how it can go from local to universal. And I can speak from my own experience through spirit. Through spirit only. And spirit is the catalyst that the same Indian identity can be serving us in a universal consciousness. Like I'll share a example. I wear a bindi, and when we opened our first restaurant, it's called the Red Dot Vegetarian Kitchen. And when it descended to me, within maybe half a minute, I knew why that name descended, the Red Dot. Because it's not a business, it's not a local or a regular restaurant. And the first thing that came to me, maybe again, this is the base that I carry of being a Sikh, where in Gurdwaras there's langar, and it's a joy to feed someone. It's absolutely a joy to feed someone's hunger, take care of them. Like Gurdwara is supposed to be open 24 hours a day, and anybody can walk in at any time. You are to be fed. So, and when we're little, we're taught that feed everybody at the Gurdwara. Don't look at the color, the age, whatever it may be, feed them, because they are in a form of a guru as well. You're simply feeding your guru. So here, when the red dot name came, I was clear that we are to feed from here, from our sixth chakra, and we're feeding again a guru and a god. So we have it on our menu that God in you is served by God in us. And if we can see that, or we can practice that every day, that God in me is here to serve the God in you. If I keep that consciousness, I am bound to see God in a form. And then everywhere. So there's now we have a second location in New York, and people love to come here and eat. People feel loved. People feel that we are individually taking care of them. Some are allergic to something, and we make sure that each one receives that attention. Why? Because it's a service. And I was saying that 40 years later, I'm serving the same chai that I learned back then. And yes, our chai is very famous. And now, the people that are with me, they're Westerners. And they are making the chai, and they're serving it the same way. They're carrying the same force. And whoever receives it, they experience that it was just made for me. And we make it as the order comes. We don't make it and put it in a kettle and pour it. No, each cup is made differently. Each cup is made separately for each person. So that Indian identity has transformed into serving it universally. And people drive from 3 hours away, and they say, my son or my grandson wanted to eat here. They wanted to come here. And it carries very authentic Punjabi food, like how we were brought up with. We make the ghee at home. We chant when we make the ghee. We chant when we open the restaurant. We think of Bhagavan Swami Sri Atmananda, because he gave me something. He gave me the principles. He transmitted something to me. And it's run by those principles. It's run by his money and matter principles. It's run by what he revealed in yogic action. And when we were opening, he said, don't advertise. People who are meant to see the light, they will automatically show up here. So we don't advertise. And it is the devotion of everyone that we come together every day at 6 a.m. and we close at 9 p.m. 7 days a week. And chanting is going on in the restaurant. And also people who are serving, they're going through transformation. We don't have time to meditate. We don't have time to sit and read and contemplate on a scripture. But all day, everybody's thought is, what would Bhagavan say? How would Bhagavan handle this situation? If somebody's getting mad about an order, if it's taking too long, how do we respond in a yogic way? If it was our father, if it was Bhagavan, how would we respond? And how to respond to every and each person that comes. And it has become a huge platform for many people, not only who are here. There are many people, and you can read the Yelp reviews or Google reviews, what people write. They feel loved, they feel taken care of. They feel lighter when they come here. But how I guide, how I run, you can say it's very Indian, because I'm basically bringing out what I was brought up with. But I also, now I can question, is it Indian? Or is it so universal? It has a force. It is an offering. And when we don't do it from an individual perspective, when we don't do it from our egoistic perspective, it becomes something like this. And it is, I will never deny, I am so proud to be Indian, and I'm so thankful, and it is grace only that made me take birth in London. But for some reason God sent us to India, and my parents were questioning, or they were probably sad that they would want their kids to be having education in London. But it was, as life went on for all of us, everything revealed its purpose. And we now know why happened what happened. And it is the Indian identity in me, I must admit, that having learned Guru Granth Sahib, having listened to the discourses at different gurdwaras by different kirtaniye, that what is a guru? And I think it is the culture and being a Punjabi Sikh that made me surrender the way I surrendered to my own master, Bhagwan. Because in Gurbani it says Guru is everything. Every word he says is truth. And whatever he asks, you must give. Even if he asks for your head, 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji has said, put it on a platter. Put your head on a platter and offer it to your Guru. Sitting here today, I think, having brought up that way, with that culture, it has served its purpose. Because if I didn't have the knowledge of what is a guru, I probably would have behaved differently in my process. I would have reacted or acted differently. But having had the base of Indian identity, knowing what is a guru, my journey is what it is. It's made me who I am. And the meanings of sacrificing, the meanings of offerings, they are very foreign to any other country except India. We learn to sacrifice at a very young age. We learn to offer at a very young age. And I'm so grateful to have had the base in an individual level, and now it has transformed and it has become the same thing of, say, let the elderly eat first. The same thing has a different meaning and a much stronger force behind that act. And here, whoever's with me is learning those values. They're actually manifesting those values. And here, it's a very individual life. People make their own cup of coffee. People do their own laundry. And here I make sure that these kids that are with me, that they do each other's laundry. They clean each other's room, as we were taught to do it with our brothers and sisters. And go make a bread of your grandma. And manifesting them with the Spirit has a completely different force, and it has a mighty force. It's addicting. It's addicting when we see someone doing service, selfless service, giving service, when we're taking care of each other. So I would not have combined the two if I had not gone through the transformation. Same thought is manifesting now differently. Same action is now manifesting differently, because something happened to that Indian identity. Something happened to that culture. And I also would like to share that sitting in a local area, we would not know that is there another culture that behaves like us? And I learned here in the US that friends of ours from Mexican family, they also cook gigantic pots of food. And they all, unless everybody's on the table, they don't eat. They serve each other. They take care of each other. They live together. And I feel it's a universal concept of this giving, sharing, because He's one. We're all one. We're all serving Him through each other. And we're learning about ourselves through each other. And we have a radar. As soon as we are in our individual plane where this is mine and this is yours. And as the heart opens and opens and opens and opens, you can do anything for anyone. So I feel that we are born to reach this state. And it's not just Indian identity. It's a Indian universal identity. It must be combined with our own soul, with our own spirit. So it can have its true meaning. It can have its true identity. It can have its true manifestation, and it's not confined to a tiny little box. And we should aspire to reach there. That even being in India, how to give it the spiritual meaning, how to give it a spiritual coding, as it is in scriptures. Every word has such a powerful force behind it, has a powerful meaning behind it. I feel that Indian identity and this culture continuity, it has a different meaning when it's manifested with spirit on matter. It has a bigger vibration. It has a mighty vibration. And I feel if it is taken care, if we take responsibility to take it to that level, we can change this earth. we can bring a new a change on earth. It's the same thing, but what got attached to it is the spirit. And as soon as spirit is attached, the rigidity goes away. And it oozes its real meaning. It gives its real purpose. It gives its authentic meaning. And we should manifest that. Otherwise, we're brought up in it and we'll die with it. So I want to share one last thing. Is when we were opening our restaurant, all of us were trying to figure out what should we give to a guest, to a customer when they leave. And it came to me like lightning that give a banana. Actually, tell you the truth, it was Lord Ganesh. And I saw his clear form that gave me this signal that give a banana. And as soon as I shared it with everyone, it made so much sense, because you don't have to wash it. You can peel it and you can eat it the next morning. You can have it later. You can, and it's a fruit, and even children love it. And now it's become, I can say like it's become a red dot culture. We hear in the town that if somebody's walking around with a banana, if another person sees it, they're like, you just ate at the red dot. But if I go deeper into the meaning, it's an offering of prasad. It's prasad. It's an offering. And it's not included in the bill. It's something we offer from our hearts. And it's blessed. We light a lamp. The bananas are blessed. And you can ask anyone. There are many people, they say, your banana tastes different, even though it's just a banana. And we even have people, they come and say, can I have 6 of them? Can I buy bananas from you? They're just different. And it might be the same company from the same store. What changed? It's an offering. It's prasad. But do we only offer in India? Do we only get prasad in India? Now it's offered here. And people are feeling the same force. People are experiencing that there is something different. So I feel that we can transmit Indian identity. We can transmit the culture. And whoever is open to it, with whatever culture, wherever they've come from, they will receive the transmission, and they'll find a purpose behind that action. They'll see it in its real way. They'll see it in its authentic way. They'll see it as we read a Gita verse and Bhagavan reveals the meaning behind. And it hits our heart because we've experienced that verse. The same way, I feel we can transmit the Indian identity. We can transmit the cultural values. And it will manifest in a universal way. And I'm so grateful for everything I've gone through, everything I've learned. And I'm so grateful to have gone through the transformation. I'm so grateful to have found the Guru, because it's only because of him this changed. And yes, I was destined to be with him. I was destined to go through my process. Even today, I'm destined. Every day, I'm destined to go through to receive guidance from him. And through that transformation, it has a different meaning. That's all I wanted to share. I'm so thankful for this opportunity. And like I said, I can only speak from my experience. I'm grateful, I'm thankful. Thank you everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate.